And this is your boy Couch Coach from the Couch Coach Live podcast. The technology devil is after me. So the last few weeks we've been trying to do the show on StreamYard and just didn't come to fruition. But we are here. We got a great show lined up for you tonight. We got a few things on the docket today. We'll talk about Bill Belichick and essentially him being slighted to not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So we'll discuss that. We'll get a little bit into the Super Bowl 60, where you had this Seattle Seahawks and the Mike McCarthy being the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We discussed that. Some coaching hires that we like, because there's really at this point only two coaching vacancies with the Las Vegas Raiders and the Arizona Cardinals. Pretty much most teams have kind of filled their slot. So we'll talk about kind of some guys that coaching hires that we like. I got Deion Sanders. I'm in the news again. Have a fine system, so interested in how that's all going to play out. We'll talk about that. And then Shedeur Sanders being named a Pro Bowler, which Shedeur Sanders is the ultimate social experiment when it comes to sports. So, yeah. So it's really interesting of how that's all going to play out. So, let's see, get Maui on here. What we get, all right. But got a great show lined up for you. So yeah, like I said, Shedeur Sanders is the ultimate. I call the social experiment when it comes to anything that deals with him. You'll get those visceral reactions between multiple people. What's going on, Maui? You hear me?
Mm-hmm. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. What's going on?
Yeah, man, nothing much, man. The technology devil is after me, for sure. I hear echo.
You do? All right.
Yeah. Yeah, the technology devil is after me in full force. I don't know, for some odd reason, I got it crazy.
I just want to see if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Is it still echo?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Nah, I think I can hear you. Yeah, I don't hear echo.
Check it. 1, 2, 3. Checking.
All right, I think we good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good now. Yeah, so really, it really started in December. So that's when it kept on like lagging and whatever. So I ended up going because I got T-Mobile. So they told me they emailed me saying you need to come by the store and get it. I got it. Got it right before Christmas. Even got a laptop. Worked perfect. That last episode of 2025, the first episode we did with the coaching right after Black Monday, the Black Monday special. And after that, everything just went to shit. Like every week trying to so about 8:15 before we do the show, trying to reboot it. They take like 20 minutes to reboot. And then the arrow was on the laptop. I'm like, man, who done put a voodoo on this damn computer, on my damn microphone, this whole process? So I don't know, man. It's just crazy, but we back. Try.
How am I looking? Is it lacking, or is it buffing a little bit?
It's going. It's not as bad as it would have been on StreamYard, because it's not on StreamYard. So do it, and then for some odd reason it times it out, which I go any website anywhere and everything works perfectly fine. It's just something about the StreamYard. So you're trying to get that all squared away, but that's here nor there. So the first topic we got to talk about is Bill Belichick. So Bill Belichick, pretty much essentially will not be a first ballot Hall of Fame. So essentially, he didn't get the next system was needed. What was just your overall thoughts on Bill Belichick essentially getting slighted? Your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. If there ever was a first ballot Hall of Famer, it's definitely got to be Bill Belichick. But at the same time, I think I'm just being reminded of, it's not all what you do on the field. The controversy sometimes that holds you back.
Yeah. And it's one of the things like is we've talked about this before, like with Terrell Owens when he
Mm-hmm.
would have been the first ballot Hall of Fame in 2016. I think he didn't go
Mm-hmm.
like 3 years later, like 2018,
Mm-hmm.
where we always have talked about like as far as those voters always have some form of agenda against a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I'm shocked too because I figured his accomplishments will outweigh kind of what people deemed as like him, as far as like especially how he treats the media and how he wasn't really too nice with the media. But I figured with the accolade, obviously with the 6 Super Bowl rings as a head coach and also 8 altogether as a defensive coordinator, had 2 was with the Giants. I figured that they, obviously Spygate, because I even hear people in their chatter talk about, well, his record with Spygate, on the situation with Spygate, then, his record without Brady, and they even talk about Cleveland, which I'm like, why this count? Cleveland's not his fault. I mean, I don't want to, out when you said, when people leave this earth, you know what I'm saying? He ain't supposed to talk ill of them. But the situation, what happened in Cleveland, is not his fault. That person is no longer here with us. He moved that team to Baltimore, and
Right.
what Bill was supposed to do. So, and I understand, like, and that's where too, where I think that sucks about the situation is the personal angst against it. It's like you said, you're supposed to. That's the thing about when you in the meeting, you doing this type of stuff. It's not about you. You're bigger than you're bigger than the program. So the whole fact of him not even being the first ballot Hall of Fame to me is it's that personal agenda, which is just it's just ridiculous how that happened because that was even Bill Polian talking about, well, I forgot that essentially he like who he voted for. Well, like you just voted last week. Imagine this is like online now, so it's like you get a confirmation. You get to say, hey, you did this, you did that. So it's not like something where it's like, okay, I mailed it out and I forgot. No, you know what you did. So that's the thing where it's like, so you look at those type of factors, like doesn't like, Bill Belichick, which, but this is one of the things where it just shows you like it's that personal, that personal vendetta, which you're not supposed to do. That's supposed to be kind of like that unwritten rule, like, hey, like you said, it should just be on the field. Don't base it on other things outside the field because everything else essentially don't matter in a sense because you're going into the Hall of Fame. It's not like, hey, you're not going into the Hall of Fame or, because everybody's going to have their issues. So that's where I'm like, it was personal and it's ridiculous. It's stupid, my personal opinion.
And we can go back and forth based upon his decision and some of the stuff that he done. So I started thinking about the positive stuff. All those controversial players, a lot of them. Harrison, did T.O. play for them? T.O. didn't play for the Patriots, did he?
Really?
Yeah.
No.
But Ocho Cinco, like I said, Harrison, Randy Moss. Like Randy Moss really was on his way out. People was looking down on him and they redid. It's like it's more players than that. But there's a lot of play. What's the receiver that played for the Browns? Big dude used to get in trouble. I mean, he used to get a lot of DUIs. I think they won the Super Bowl with him. Do you remember? It was a big, tall receiver. I could not remember. Yeah, he used to play for the Browns, but he had addiction issues. Man, I cannot remember his name. I can't remember his name.
The only person I can really think, even though they play for the Browns, I remember like Corey Dillon. Like Corey Dillon. Because I don't think Josh Gordon didn't play for the. That's the only one that I can recall.
You
What I
said
see
Josh
that
Gordon.
had
It
some
might
issues.
be. It was a dude had addiction issues. He did play for them though. I remember. But he still had those issues there. But I'm just saying, like, he still gave a lot of controversial players a chance, and that's because he understood them a little bit better, just like he understood Lawrence Taylor and being with them Giants. You know what I mean? I remember him being on a show on NFL Network with Ed Reed, and you got to see a different Bill Belichick. You know what I mean? Talking to them and laughing like, man, we knew you were going to do this, and you just got to see a different side to him. I just think Bill Belichick, once he got that power, he did what he wanted to do. They don't like that, and he wasn't a part of the clique. You know what I mean? Seemed like he did his own thing, and some people liked it, some people did it. He did some negative stuff. We can all talk about the Eagles game. We still don't know why he didn't play that player. And, some of the stuff dealing with Tom Brady and Gronk.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know, but I think what's gonna be funny is because it's kind of strange. Where will he be in the Hall of Fame next year? Because I'm assuming. Will Brady be there next year because he retired February of 2023? So, if my math, I think so. He would be until 2028. So that's in 2 years. So it's one of the things where like the whole situation, like people, the reasoning as to why they didn't put Bill in as the first ballot Hall of Fame, will that be the same reason that will Tom Brady? How will it be?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm really confused. Not confused, but I'm just curious as to know when Tom Brady's up. If it's going to be obviously the Flake game, all that pretty much, and then and then I know people probably gonna make the excuse when he left New England, he won a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. So I think that's going to be kind of one of those where I think people are going to kind of forget the situation. I think Bill's situation probably because of all the success he has had without Tom, and obviously like what he's doing now at Carolina, where they they had an abysmal season this year and what have you, and then obviously that. So, but still, like you said, it's that perception. So it's gonna be really interesting how they will grade Tom when it's time for him to be, which I think, regardless, he will be a first ballot Hall of Fame. Like I know people are gonna probably be like, well, it could be a gray area, but I think for certain he's gonna be a first ballot Hall of Fame for sure. And Bill will probably be there next year.
You're a couch coach. You know what I'm saying? You have, so some people value your opinion. Do you believe that Bill Belichick should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'll be the first one. I'm not a Bill Belichick guy. And I will tell you that there are certain things in interactions that I'm not a fan of Bill Belichick, but yet again, this is something where if I was a voter, I wouldn't count that against him. Yes, in my brief run-in with Bill Belichick,
run-in? What?
Well, I'm not running, but as far as being in the same room with him, and that it wasn't the greatest. I mean, as far as when it comes to coaches that I've been around, it's not the best. I mean, and a lot of it, I think it was. I don't know, maybe because there was so many of us, when we went down the AC kickoff, but it wasn't the best. But I mean, but take that at face value. But it's not something that I hold against him. Like, I can't stand Bill Belichick. No, I just chalk it up to, and I know that. When you do these things and when you in these rooms, you are not the story. You are, so don't ever. You're not bigger than the program. Like you're just there to do that and just be objective. Like regardless of how of a personal feeling that I feel of Bill Belichick, that doesn't warrant the fact that I can't ignore his accomplishment, because at this point, if he's not first, like you said in the opening, if he's not a first ballot Hall of Fame, who is, especially from a coaching rank, because you're not going to have somebody going down the line that as accomplished. I think the only person I can think of that is someone on Bill's level, but he's like in a different stratosphere, will probably be Andy Reid once it's all said and done with him winning those multiple Super Bowls. He's the only one I can think of that could possibly be a first ballot Hall of Fame in this next generation of coaches. And then what you gonna do with him? Oh well, he led the Eagles to four NFC championships, but they lost all four of them. You gonna hold that against his situation? And then now fast forward, him making that gutsy move to trade to get Patrick Mahomes and live happily ever after. So there's always gonna be something when it comes to how you grade it. And my personal opinion, that's the only coach that I see as we talking January 29th, 2026, that will potentially be a first ballot Hall of Famer in this coaching generation, like as far as current coaches at this point. So, like, to me, for Bill not getting it, that just sets a precedent. Like, man, it's gonna take no coach ever going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And that's one thing too, where he's going to eventually get in, but that's still something to be proud of. Hey, I'm a first ballot Hall of Fame. The first time I've been on a ballot, I made the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like, we'll see. Matter of fact, what's the day? A week from Thursday, next week. Matter of fact, next week we're here. Next Thursday, when Drew Brees gets inducted, he's gonna be a first ballot Hall of Fame. And maybe Larry Fitzgerald, they're gonna be first ballot Hall of Fame. So that's gonna, and that's one thing where you will always remember that. Like, because we'll watch next Thursday when we're watching NFL Honors, Drew Brees will be there. He'll be there. He'll be, getting ready to get his gold jacket to go to Cannes next summer to summer. So it's a big deal to me. For sure, for you.
He did something because even when he left, you think it's because the way he ended with the Patriots. Like, it just seemed like the energy was real dark when he left, and then they thought he was going to go to other teams, and it just seemed like those none of those teams was really looking that way, but they were making us think that for a hot second. Do you think that's what this is about?
I think it was a lot. I think obviously that situation, then the current situation with the whole, it's the butt of the jokes, but the whole Jordan Hudson situation, all of it, I'm telling you, all of this stuff that's transparent is just a microcosm of why this happened. But yet again, like we said, when you vote for these things, you're told don't make that a factor. But it's gotta be a factor.
Yeah.
Because you just look at like you said, how it ended in New England. Now, and we're gonna talk about it momentarily. Now they're 2 years removed from Bill Belichick, and they were like a 4-13 team, and now they're in the Super Bowl. So that's another thing when people look at it like from that standpoint. And then, like I said earlier, the Carolina situation where he's really turned it in somewhat of a negative light. I mean, they look terrible in most of those games this year. And then, then obviously people look at kind of like you said, the end and him not, as far as when it comes to drafting players and, as far as player development, and these, having like these crazy stuff like drafting my guy, Michael McCorkle Jones out of Duval County, and you making Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as the offensive coordinator. Well, juggling between them two. So, yeah. So, but it still don't take away from those 6 Super Bowls. Yes, at the end, it was murky. But that's one thing, so you got to look at it from a totality standpoint. Yes, those bad years in New England, it was a definite fall from grace. But in the same token, you can't deny what he's done in the past. Now, if he was someone that won like 1 Super Bowl or 2 Super Bowls, yeah, you kind of look at that, but you got to think he's won 6. Like they're literally tied with with the most Super Bowls in all the franchise. And then hell, if New England wins next Sunday, they'll be in the league with 7. So it's just one of those where.
Oh, I forgot about that. Hold up.
Yeah, so
word.
So that's what I'm saying. Where you look at it from that because New England they were downtrodden franchise. I mean, yes, they had some good years, but their dominance in the early 2000s is something that you can't. It's something that regardless of what's going on now, yes, granted, yes, it's downhill. I mean, you got a 24-year-old girlfriend. It's all the stuff is going on. But that run then and there, and then I mean, because to me, I still think that Patriot run is something that's fascinating. I mean, you went a decade without winning the Super Bowl, and then you so it's one of the things where most teams, it's that he had a dynasty in multiple decades. I mean, he literally has ran. This decade, the Patriot team has ran a decade. Well, I mean, obviously those found a couple of years with Bill, but for the most part, when he got hired, and pretty much once Drew Bledsoe got hurt, Tom Brady comes in 2001, and the rest has been history. So that's just something, in my personal opinion, it's like you can't ignore that. Yes, to me, it's like you ignore the noise. You ignore 2020 and beyond, but look at from when he got hired in 2000 to that drop in 2019, you're not going to be able to duplicate that, at this point. Yeah.
I will also say it's kind of it's very disrespectful. Because the more you talk, and I'm thinking about, man, he was a defensive coordinator for the Giants, right?
Yes,
and so he was a part of one of the most special teams in the NFL history, and then he ended up coaching really the team that kind of defined the early 2000s, and then when we thought it was over with, it came back again, like. He, even with the controversy, it kept us watching. The football kept us watching. So many memorable games. Like, I mean, from Aaron Hernandez and Gronk to Randy Moss, which changed. You made me look at Brady completely different, to them early games with it's just a lot with the Ravens against Peyton Manning and the Colts. It's a lot, man. And regardless of what you think of a person, like, man, sometimes you just got to give them what they deserve. And it's the Hall of Fame. And most of these athletes and coaches and all that, whatever, they got to handle their business. They got to do what they got to do on the field. But in the end of the day, that's one of the biggest respects that you can get and he deserved to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He really did. Yeah. And they kind of fumbled that. And, they've done it plenty of times with other people, and we complain, like you said, T.O., but at the same time, we let it be for what it is, and now they done it to Bill Belichick that we never thought would happen. We never thought that something like this would happen to Bill. They didn't do that to Phil, did they? Phil Jackson? I mean, the Hall of basketball.
I doubt it. And plus, that one is different because at least with that one, you got all, like, that's one thing where I don't, it's kind of one thing I like about the basketball Hall of Fame versus the Pro Football Hall of Fame, where basketball is going to be your whole basketball totality. So obviously, they were factored in the days when he was, winning the championships in the CBA, hell, when he was coaching teams in Puerto Rico and all that. So at least from a basketball standpoint, your whole totality is there versus Bill, his coaching accolades, even though, like we said, we talked about the Carolina situation, even though Carolina shouldn't even count because he would be in a different Hall of Fame if he became successful in the college ranks. So that's where it's like and like when the NBA, people are always like, oh, you let everybody in, but with the basketball, you have to, because I remember when there was discussion a few years ago about Dwayne Wade. I'm like, well, you still got to understand, don't just think about his NBA accolades to Marquette,
Mm-hmm.
like that year where he
Mm-hmm.
led them to a Final Four, like
Mm-hmm.
that's a factor too, and that's where it's that gray area. And one more to kind of wrap it up.
I
When
got
I
you.
even look at like his coaching tree, I mean, you look at Nick Saban. He
Yeah.
was with him, with but yeah, he was with him there. So you look at just from that standpoint too. So you look at Nick Saban, Kirk Ferentz, um, all of them. Like look, all the little Bills, even that what's his face? Vrabel, even with him, what he's doing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just one of those where you just look at just from that standpoint that it's an impressive it's an impressive resume he's had. So
Right.
before we go to our next topic, what's going on, X? What's your thoughts on Bill Belichick being snubbed as a first ballot Hall of Famer? What you got?
Well, one thing I know it was disrespectful. It was all egregious. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was Centel when I first saw it, to be honest. Um,
Right.
but I mean, then I listened to somebody run down his numbers. Like he's top three in all-time wins as a coach for regular season and playoffs. He's the all-time winningest coach in the playoffs. He's a six-time Super Bowl champion as a head coach, two-time Super Bowl winning as a DC. Um, I'm not sure if it's true or not what they said, but they said his defensive scheme that he had against when he was with the Giants for I forgot
Hall of
which
Fame.
Super Bowl it was is in the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Like
Yeah.
that's unheard of, and
That's crazy.
like so I just don't get it. Like you got to have some type of
That's
ill will,
crazy.
malice, or you got to be. I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like he's a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's arguably, if not the greatest head coach of all time in the
Yeah.
NFL. Like, I mean, Deflategate, Spygate aside, I don't that don't. You still got to play the game. You
Right.
still got to go out there and play. He still got to coach. So I feel like I said, maybe the biggest snub. Um, and now you got to question, will Brady get the same type of treatment? Because he was a beneficiary of Spygate, Deflategate, and he is regarded as the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't see Brady not being a first ballot. And if Brady is a first ballot, then you have to explain to me then why Belichick isn't the first ballot. Because
Right.
those two go hand in hand together.
Right. And like I mentioned earlier, too, and we'll wrap it up on this one. Where I think what's going to help Tom is him going to Tampa Bay and winning that Super
Yeah.
Bowl. I think that's gonna be his determining factor where he won't get that pushback. But like you said, it's gonna be how the young kids say the math ain't mathing because both of their success is intertwined. But you give him that grace versus not giving Bill that grace. But I think but in my mind, they're gonna probably say, "Hey, well, he went to Tampa and won a ring, and he got seven." So it's kind of like you said, but six out of seven came from him with the Patriots with Bill. So it's like his success is literally aligned with Bill. So like you said, but I got a feeling Tom, when we sit here 2 years from today, Tom will be in. Tom will get the knock on the door and and he'll
Yep.
get that Hall of Fame. Just like we talked about it earlier, like next week, Drew Brees will be there. Drew Brees will be probably the first guy to Hall of Fame this time next week. So yeah.
You boys
So
they don't like him.
yeah. So
Wow.
the next topic, and I was so ready for this. And we got to definitely tap into our relative Steelers guy here on Couch Coach Live. Mike McCarthy is now the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. My God, what has happened in these past 2 weeks?
Whew.
What's your
Boy.
thoughts on Big Mike? Big Mike being the coach of the Pittsburgh
Um,
Steelers.
I was very disappointed until you said it was going to be a topic, and I started, looking, studying a little bit, and I hear everybody's opinion, but honestly, I don't think it's going to be a 15 or 20 year career being with the Steelers. But if you look at what the early years with Aaron Rodgers. There was success there. I mean, you can arguably even say it was success with the Cowboys. Dak was hurt some years. I don't think it was a failure. I think being a head coach for the Cowboys is hard because he was really there to be the fall guy. You know what I mean? If you're successful, it's Jerry Jones. If you mess up, it's your fault. So I transitioned that, and I'm freestyle. I got stuff written, but I transitioned that to go with. To replace Tomlin, you know what I mean? And him being from Pittsburgh, the fans are going to love that. But the same thing, he's going to be able, because I feel like being a Steeler, I feel like a lot of the issues was the Rooneys. And Tomlin was there to cover everything up. And now you got the fans saying fire Tomlin. I think now they need another guy in that position that's going to be able to cover them on some of the decisions they make. He never talks bad about the ownership or anybody. I've never heard him dog players. Have y'all heard that? You guys, I value your opinion. I've never heard Mike McCarthy talk bad about his players. So I just looked at it. Once I looked at everything, I looked at his numbers. Really, regular season, 174 wins, 112 losses. Let me see. What is it? How many division champions? He's won. Of course, with the Cowboys, won 8 division titles. Like the Super Bowl. I feel more positive than negative. You know what I mean? So, that's all I can really say. I'm not going to be negative of Coach and X. It's been a minute. X gonna give it to you. My bad.
Yeah, man.
What's up, man? It's been a minute. But I don't have really anything too much negative. I'd probably be like if that's the case, like, what did you think Kansas City thought about Andy Reid? You know what I mean? Andy Reid went to the NFC Championship 4 times. And then, luckily, you know what I mean, he ended up getting Patrick Mahomes. He had a little success for Alex Smith, so. And then, did Cousins go there?
Kansas City? Nah.
No, okay. I got mixed up. But I'm like a 7. I mean, I don't know who else they really got. But I'm looking at it like a 7.
What's your thoughts, X, on your former NFC North, not ally, but rival? What you think about Big Mike?
I mean, I kind of agree with everything Maui said. I don't have an issue with the hiring.
Mm-hmm.
My only question is, does that get them a step closer to the promised land? Because
Right.
I feel like Mike Tomlin and Mike McCarthy, I think they were like stuck in limbo for so long because Mike McCarthy went a stretch after the Super Bowl of back in
2011.
Green Bay, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
where he went like a stretch where he only won how many playoff games from that time until his tenure in Dallas? Did he win? I think he won 1 playoff game in Dallas. Or
I think he's that. Yeah,
Yeah, one
and
playoff.
you
Yeah,
yeah,
one
0
playoff
4
game.
against San Francisco. He's 0 4
Yeah.
against San Francisco.
yeah, so I just don't like I said, I get I understand the hiring. You needed a coach, but I feel like you kind of hired the same
Yep.
Right.
the same
Yep.
person.
Yeah.
I don't think Mike McCarthy pushes
Ooh, excuse me, sorry.
Pittsburgh over the hump.
Mm.
And it's not his fault. It's the way the team is currently constructed. You have yet again you have another aging quarterback. And then your defense wasn't. I mean, your defense started off good at the beginning of the season, but like as it kind of fell off towards the end. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I just feel like they're gonna be stuck in limbo, and we all know Pittsburgh doesn't fire coaches, quote unquote. I mean, the Mike Tomlin stepping down may be the closest thing is being fired. So, I mean, I don't know. And I agree with you, Coach. I don't think this is a 20-year hire with Mike McCarthy. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I got a buddy of mine that's a Steelers fan, and he hates when I tell him this, but I said, yo, Ben Roethlisberger did y'all dirty because he should have retired years, like maybe 3 years earlier than what he did, because you're never going to get your franchise quarterback if you're continuing to be 500 or better. And I think Mike Tomlin hung his hat on never having a losing season for so long, or his whole tenure with Pittsburgh, that like you kind of hurt your team's future as like trying to get that quarterback, like get that franchise altering quarterback. I mean, yeah, some teams can find a quarterback like late in the draft, but how often does that really happen? You mean you got Tom Brady, Brock Purdy. I know I'm missing some names, Dak or whatever. But like usually you like to get a top 10 quarterback, and and that's your franchise. And I feel like Pittsburgh, like I said, I just feel like Pittsburgh is yet again behind the 8 ball, especially with the Mike McCarthy hire.
Yeah.
And I know he doesn't want to go in his first year in Pittsburgh and have a losing season.
Yeah. Like to me, the move, it didn't make any sense, and it's funny because I used to think, obviously, because a lot of people always used to make a comparison of Mike Tomlin and Mike McCarthy, like they're literally the same. Because I remember there was a Spider-Man meme that pointed both of them that they were literally the same coach, and that's how I feel with the situation, because I was hoping that they were kind of in essence do like what they did the transition from Coward to Mike Tomlin, where essentially you kind of course correct. Where essentially where you go and get a young guy like how Tomlin, but if they Tomlin in the town was like what 30 in his 30s, like 35 or whatever. I thought that's where that's what they were going to do, and like even from Chuck Noll to Coward. Coward was his defensive coordinator with Kansas City, and all of a sudden he gets that. Now you bring in a guy like you said. He hasn't won a Super Bowl in 15 years. As a matter of fact, he beat Mike McCarthy in that Super Bowl. So it's kind of one of the things where, and then this whole notion of will he bring Aaron Rodgers back, and yet again, you talk about Big Ben. This is another situation where Aaron Rodgers, okay, put it in perspective. Me and Aaron Rodgers graduated in the same year. He will be 43 in December. Why are you even going to bring him back? We talked about this last year at Dawson. I wouldn't even, for the fact that, like we talked about it last year, if he ain't committed to the team by Memorial Day, but obviously at the last minute they had no choice. So at this point, if he took that long to make a commitment, he's definitely not going to be on no OTAs and what have you. like you said, you talk about Big Ben. Now, the issue now lies with holding on to Aaron Rodgers. Like you said, you made that mistake with Big Ben initially because you think about it, they're like literally the same age. That's the crazy thing about the whole situation. And now, like you said, you need to get a franchise quarterback. You need to kind of dig yourselves out of a hole and get yourself a franchise quarterback. Because at this point, that's the only way that this team can get back to where they are. They have to get a quarterback. Because yet again, the roof needs fixing. You don't put shingles on the roof. You have to take the roof and from the roof. Ain't no shingles gonna fix this hole that's in this roof. Because that's all it is. It's you've had a hole in that roof since 2018. And what you did, all you're doing is put super glue and shingles on. And then you're wondering why it's raining in the bathroom. Because you ain't fixed the roof.
Okay, I just feel like you guys are going a little too overboard, and I feel like y'all picking. This ain't fair, man. I didn't do that to y'all about y'all teams. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, let's be honest. I'll go. I'll go back. Let's go back to they let Ben pick the offensive coordinator, and then this dude talking about the next year they gonna get Kenny Pickett, right?
Right.
It's just, and then they get rid of that offensive coordinator. Kenny Pickett's not there. Ben is gone. And then they bring this guy, and to me, the defense wasn't. You know what? It was just a weird team. They went and got all these older guys, and they held for Aaron Rodgers to come there. It just was too much weird stuff going on. Then it was like a generic version of Aaron Rodgers. Like he's throwing left and right. I'm like, go down the field. Then you got Metcalf doing. You know what I mean? Like, what is going on? Metcalf grabbing fans. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is really going on? Like, man, I know they were saying something about they don't like the rebuild, but I do feel like certain people are in position in ownership that do certain things, and it's like they need somebody to be there politically just so you won't focus on them, because some of the decisions, I want to say, I don't know, man, since 2019, maybe. I don't know. It's just like since Pickett, it just seemed like it ain't making no sense. Like you had Warren, you had Pickerson. You know what I'm saying? Like you got a decent running back. You had Najee. Okay, the defense always can figure out a way. You know what I mean? And I kept saying, the offensive coordinator, I'm like, yo, we got this alien over here. Remember I used to say that, Coach? I said, the closest thing I've seen to Travis Hunter is the GP over here, and they're not passing him the ball. I said, if they don't do that, he's going to leave, and he's going to go to a team, and they're going to pay him, and he's going to mess around, be with Patrick Mahomes or some damn body. That's all we need. You know what I mean? And so I don't know, man. It is what it is. I think we all, we all been there, you know what I mean? And I guess we just got to see what's going to happen. I have a question real quick. Do you feel like Mike McCarthy is going to help with the offense a little bit better? Because it's been a minute since we had like a coach, you know what I'm saying? Like, because he's more of an offensive-minded type of coach, right?
Yeah. He'll help your offense.
Yeah, but then I look at his last year in Dallas when Kellen Moore was gone and he took over play calling.
Yeah, so we saw him.
It didn't, like, the offense didn't look fluid.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said he said he was going to run the ball more. He didn't.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, you couldn't because your offensive line wasn't. Well, your run blocker wasn't that good, and your running back wasn't up to par. I think was Zeke the running back last season.
Mm.
It was
that last season. Rico, and was because Tony Pollard had already left.
It was. I feel like it was it Zeke that was with Rico.
Yeah, Zeke. It was Zeke and Rico because remember when Tony Pollard with and they re-signed him back.
And like I said, I mean, I don't know how much he can help the offense because you got an aging Aaron Rodgers.
Man, let's just throw Aaron Rodgers out of the picture. Don't talk about him no more. Nah, I mean, we got Will Howard. Okay, that's what we want. We want Will. Push Will up here.
Quarterback. Yeah, Will. Yeah, you want him in the preseason. You want him to play the third week of August. You don't want him to be starting on September 13th.
So let me ask you a question. You guys, Kellen Moore got for the Saints got Tyler Slaw, right? Ain't that his last name? Slaw? Slay?
I think it's Shook.
Shook.
It's Shook?
Yeah, Shook tonight. Yeah, it's Shook. Yeah, because
Right. So if you had to draft him or draft Will Howard, which one would you draft? Seriously.
I mean, what we see on the field, Tyler Shook he been balling. Like
before that,
he might be offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying before all that, like, who would you pick if you?
I mean, it depends. It probably would have been Will Howard, but the situation is, Kellen Moore is he's a good coordinator, so he knows what to do with Tyler Shough. Because Tyler Shough is he was in college for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And so it, like you said, it's one of the things where, and like to answer your question previously, I think he will help the offense, but I don't think you're going to see like how, I'm going to put it this way. You'll see a small must-see difference in your offense. It's not going to be as days of Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown. No, them days are over with. You'll see a slight improvement. You'll see a slight improvement in your offense, but I don't think it's going to be nothing enough for you to write home and be like, oh my God, like, he's great.
AFC North, though.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, where, and we'll get into that because to me, there was a lot of other options that they should have went with. I think they should have went with almost similar to kind of what they did with Tomlin. Get somebody in their 30s where, like you said, you can have that 15 to 20 because Mike Tomlin like 53 years old. So, now you got a Mike McCarthy, which is, it just feel like you went back. But, I mean, trust me. You can roast because I guarantee you, I know, trust me, there'll be a different coach in Washington next year, so you can roast me all you want. This time next year, I'm all ears. Like, I'm ready for the smoke with whoever, so it is what it is. I'm just keeping it real. Like, if Washington did this, you didn't even got to roast me. I will roast myself if they did some dumb shit like this. Like, I'm serious.
Hey, X, don't laugh.
I mean,
laugh it, man.
Yeah, because, like we talk about it, you, like, the perfect person, which I think he's going to be Oakland Raiders coach, that's just my thing. Obviously, we can't talk about Kubiak because obviously he'll be in the Super Bowl next week. You should have got somebody like him, a young guy, a second generation NFL coaching guy, and Clint Kubiak could have been there for 15 to 20 years. So, even though I think he's going to go to the Raiders, that's me talking. But
I wanted Brian. I wanted Flores. I wanted Flores, B.
Yeah, that's another one where another young guy as well too. Yeah, where you can have and people loved him, which is why I was shocked that he ended up, just resigning back with Minnesota. I thought that would have been a perfect shot.
I don't think Flores is going to get a head coaching job again just for the simple fact he still has that lawsuit.
That lawsuit.
I thought it was over with.
No, I think it's still.
Did they? I thought they settled.
I thought they settled like last year. That's why I thought it was the last year, or the year before, and that's why this year they was kind of really saying that he's going to be trying to get it. But anyway, I mean, regardless, let me tell you, the AFC North was really soft to me this season. It was so weird, and I just feel like if we just get our defense to be in, because even if you pay attention to playoffs, look how many teams had great defense. We need to have a top 5 defense, and then anything can happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I just don't. I didn't feel. I saw our defenses with the Broncos and the Texans. It's just I don't know what happened.
Playoff teams, yeah. So before so what we'll do now, we'll talk about let's do some initial thoughts on the Super Bowl matchup. Like 10 days from now, matter of fact, we got the Seattle Seahawks versus New England Patriots. Just your initial thoughts on this matchup. We'll probably do more of a deep dive next week on it. But just your initial thoughts on this matchup, some storylines or anything. What you got? I'm gonna go with you first, X. What you got?
Um, my first thought is that I know a lot of people are tired of seeing New England in the Super Bowl, but I kind of like this one because it's totally different. It's no Belichick, no Brady.
Mm-hmm.
You got Drake May and you got Mike Vrabel, former linebacker for the Patriots. Won 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots as a player. Now has the chance to win his first Super Bowl as a head coach of the Patriots. So I like it. Both defenses are elite.
Mm-hmm.
Both offenses are good. The quarterbacks are playing great. I feel like as far as quarterback play, I'm gonna lean more towards Sam Darnold. Because like these last 3-4 games, he's been showing out. He looks. I mean, last season he had Minnesota at 14-3, but as it got closer to the end of the season, Sam Darnold turned into the old Sam Darnold that we were used to seeing with the Jets. And this season, he looks different. He doesn't look. He looks more poised in these tight game situations. He could have easily folded under the pressure against the Rams last week, but he stayed strong, played good, and I'm glad to see this matchup. Like I said, this is a rematch from Super Bowl. Help me out, Coach.
49. Super Bowl 49.
So, like I said, back then you had the Legion of Boom versus Belichick and Brady. This time you got this new Seattle Seahawks team. Defense is still elite like it was back then against this Patriots team, which defense is elite like the old Patriots team. And now you got a high-powered offense with two good quarterbacks and one young quarterback that's coming up to make his name, like etch his name in history, especially for the New England Patriots franchise.
Yeah. What you got, Mal?
Basically, is the storyline is the Seahawks is they're going to get their payback. Definitely, nobody really thought that both of these teams would be in the Super Bowl. So I want to see, and they're kind of like, they say they're like the Seahawks is a little more on another level, but I feel like they're kind of more even. Definitely going to be, they have two good offenses, two good quarterbacks, but their defense is both of their defenses are real solid, very physical. I actually picked the Patriots to win the division, and I had an idea. I was thinking if he made them, if Variable could make sure they were very physical, they would have some type of success. Me, man, same thing. Like Trayvon Henderson, he's been doing okay, not as good as we thought he was going to do, but Hopewell boy. And then my dad told me that the coach is actually from Akron, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm just really excited to have two teams that we didn't even think would be at the Super Bowl this year. You know what I'm saying? There's no Ravens, no Bills, there's no 49ers, there's no the basic teams that we've been looking at, even Detroit, you know what I mean? Like teams that we kind of had a figure. I ain't mean like that. But but I'm just saying in general, like it's really cool to have. We didn't think the Pats would be there. Hell, I think the Seahawks, they just got their coach last year, right? That was his first year,
It's
right?
the second year.
It's
Yeah,
his
Mike.
second year.
Second year, Mike
Yeah.
McDonald. Yeah.
So yeah, like for I'm just happy for that. You know what I mean? That two new teams, but I really, I want to see if Sam Donald is going, or is the Patriots going to figure out a way to stop JSN, like in some type of way, because that's Sam Donald's favorite weapon. If they're going to figure out a way to slow that down, because I think if they do that, the Pats might have a good chance to win. But real excited, man. Two new teams that we saw before, that we've seen before anyway.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. It's like, to me, it's like a full circle moment.
Right.
The exception of this show in 2014, the first Super Bowl that we covered was the Patriots versus the Seahawks matchup. Matter of fact, if you look at our on YouTube, our February 1st, our Super Bowl Sunday edition in 2015, when we aired it in my mother's dining room, almost 11 years ago to the date. But that's here nor there. I think obviously the local flavor of TV in 804, obviously talking about Travion Henderson, also Morgan Moses, my guy, obviously from the Commanders way back when. So good to see like kind of how his career is kind of have past his Washington days. You see the success he's having, especially in New England. So that's a good thing to see. The both matchups of the mics. I mean, obviously. I found it refreshing because I think a lot of it now, we'll talk about the coaching hires momentarily, but like two defensive-minded head coaches and kind of what they have brought to the table. Obviously, what Vrabel has done. Obviously, you think about just his history with Tennessee and now coming here, and then Mike McDonald, a guy who I really was champion for him to come to Washington, but obviously I didn't realize there was some stuff going on that, as far as with him, with Washington, as far as some stuff. So seeing what he's doing, obviously he was instrumental in Baltimore's success. Obviously was their former defensive coordinator. So you see kind of what he's doing in Seattle and building that team up. And now Sam Donald back in the Super Bowl. People forgot that Sam Donald was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but obviously he was a backup to Brock Purdy. So now he has an opportunity now to become, because that's where I'm telling you, when they beat Baltimore Christmas night, while many Americans would sleep or drink a little eggnog, he put on a show in garbage time. And I'm like, yo, like this dude Sam Donald might have something going. And lo and behold, my guy JLC, not JLC, the KLC, Kevin O'Connell, seen that and obviously got that. So that when I look at as far as him having now that opportunity to do that, and then kind of you think about Drake May. It's funny. A lot of people made comparisons. My little nephew, what school he went to, University of North Carolina, and I find it funny now as Tom Brady. People always kind of compare him to Tom Brady, and it'd be funny that in his second year that he could potentially win a Super Bowl like Tom Brady, which is Tom Brady was in his third year because he got drafted in 2020, and Drake May. So it'd be early in their career to have Super Bowl success, and it's gonna be a good one. I think this is where if even if you put a gun to my head today, 10 days from the Super Bowl, I can't even give you who I think will win. It's gonna be one thing where. Hell, hopefully I'll know next week when we on air next week or even on Super Bowl Sunday that we'll know who we think will win. But I'm looking forward to this matchup. This is going to be a really, really good matchup for sure. But yeah, so let's talk about some coaching hires. So there's only two vacancies left, and that's the Arizona Cardinals and the Las Vegas Raiders. As I kind of alluded to early, I think the Las Vegas situation will be done in a few days after the dust settles on February the 8th. I think they'll have their coach, potentially. Arizona, still don't know what's going to happen there. So as far as the coaching hires, I'll go down a list of who was hired and then see you guys' overall thoughts, which move that you like. So obviously we know John Harbaugh is now with the New York Giants. Robert Saleh is now the coach of the Tennessee Titans. Kevin Stefanski is in Atlanta. Uh, Jeff Hatley is now in Miami. And we talked about Mike McCarthy earlier. He's with Pittsburgh. Jesse Minter is now with the Baltimore Ravens. Uh, Joe Brady is now with the Buffalo Bills. And then to add to the list, Todd Monkey is now the coach of the Cleveland Browns. So, fellas, yeah, thoughts. Well, which out of these coaching moves, which one did you like? What was the? See, it doesn't necessarily have to be the slam dunk hire, but which out of all the coaching vacancies, who you think got the best coach? I'm gonna go to you first, X.
I think Harbaugh going to the Giants.
Okay.
I like that. I especially like it for Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. All right. What you got, Mel?
I might have been stretching, but I'm gonna go with. I hope I don't mess his last name up. But Robert Slahy. That's
Saleh.
Saleh. I messed it up like that.
Yeah.
All right, don't even worry about it. I do it all the time. I just picked him. I thought he had a raw deal with. I thought he had got a raw deal with the Jets. I'm happy, that he was able to get another head coaching job with the Titans. And the reason why, I remember when he first got to the Jets and he was trying to change the culture, and everything seemed positive. You know what I mean? And it just seemed like once they had issues with the quarterback, it just seemed like, and then the issue with Aaron Rodgers, it just seemed like everything went downhill. But they had a top defense. The first year, they were 21st, I think. And then they ended up 2023. They ended up being the third, and then in 2024, they were first in passing yards, allow a point of love. Man, it's been a minute since I've been on here, but they was in the top. They was one of the top defenses at that time, even though their record didn't show it. So I just feel like that I'm just happy that he's able to get a second chance. It seemed like even though the defense wasn't that good with the 49ers this year, it just seemed like the morale was better, even though they didn't have a hard damn, I'm tripping. They didn't have a hard schedule this year, but it just seemed like I just feel like if you're gonna start a team, you want to start with the defense, and they already got somewhat of a quarterback that they drafted number one, so that's mine. You know what I mean? I don't think he was. It takes a certain type of coach to be like a big market like the Jets or something like that. And I think this one being a smaller one, he could take somewhat baby steps. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I agree with both of you fellas as far as the move. Obviously, the Harbaugh type of thing, that's going to be such a great move, like you said, for that duo, obviously, Jackson Dart, Malik Davis and company. And I think he's going to be someone, and I like and with Harbaugh, I definitely think he's going to be going to bring the Giants back to at least in the conversation in the sure, because I definitely think they got the pieces in place and they got the coach with the right mentality. I do like the Tennessee move. I think what makes the Tennessee move better, in my personal opinion, is actually hiring former Giants head coach Brian Daboll as offensive coordinator. So I definitely think that's going to definitely help Cam Ward his development. Sure.
My bad.
So
yeah, offensive coordinator. You're right.
Like that. Yeah, so right. I do like what and then obviously that Tennessee team is all got a fairly good defense. I definitely want to see how Simmons will be in that in that Robert Saleh's defense. So like you said, he got another opportunity, and this is where it is very rare to kind of get those opportunities to get your second opportunity, especially this quick. I think that's one thing too, but that's such a good thing. But I think the one I really like is going to be that Joe Brady to Buffalo. Because at first I questioned the Sean McDermott firing, but I look at it from a standpoint because I think my issue was because obviously when you see the people who they were interviewing, like Philip Rivers and this and third, but because I figured with the whole Billy Bean situation, we signed him, and then obviously with the press conference last week of pretty much talking crap about Keon Coleman and pretty much throwing Sean McDermott under the bus. But despite all that, I do like the Joe Brady hire because I think that's one thing when you're a team that's that close. I don't think you need to hire within. I think you need to hire somebody. You need to hire somebody within that outside. And I think in my personal opinion, Joe Brady, because guys love Joe Brady. Joe Brady's been around for the last like 3 years. Also another William and Mary Grant, just like McDermott. So I think he'll be a someone. I think that next level, which I think Buffalo and needs that. Obviously now going into this new stadium, and now just everything going forward, and it's a lot. It's going to be a lot on Joe Brady's plate because he got to take it to the next level because obviously with this Billy Bean situation because it's all going to fall to him. This time you can't blame or throw somebody on the bus. Like because to me, this you handpicked Joe Brady, so it's like no excuses, and what have you. So I definitely think he'll be someone that can potentially could bring Buffalo back up top because I think that team they're worth salvaging. I mean, like it was me and my personal opinion, they were one bad call away from potentially being in the AFC Championship game and we could be talking about them playing in this game on. Um, I think that was a smart move. I mean, because you don't want to clean house. I figured once they re-sign Billy Bean, I figured that's where they will go. Either him or going with Dayball. The whole Philip Rivers thing. I like that's just semantics. Don't get caught up in that. Like, oh my God, I get a high school football coach from Alabama. No, they interview everybody. Hell, I could even went for the interview, and I won't get a job. They interview people. I mean, that's just like everything. We've all had jobs where you just get interviewed. You just get a seat at the table. Don't necessarily mean you gonna get it. It's just an interview. So like people are freaking out about that. Like it was gonna be in house because you don't resign your GM and you put all this faith. Yeah. So yeah, Buffalo had no excuses.
I thought Dable was. I thought Brian Dable was coming back. I really did.
I thought so too. But I think he'll be back next year.
Well, the Bills.
I think
I thought he was. Yeah, I really thought he was going to be with the Bills. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so too. Either them or Joe Brady because Joe Brady was another like kind of a hot coaching candidate. Um, Going to see back in the cycle next year potentially because I definitely think he'll do something with Cam Ward. Like I think because Cam Ward did a great job in his first year. So for me, like now you having that offensive guy, I definitely think that's going to help you for sure. I mean, even quiet as kept, he was instrumental in the development of Jackson Dart. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, he might not, that was his guy. He followed him even in the medical team. That was his guy.
So I do have a question for both of you guys. Kevin Stefanski going to Atlanta. I mean, I really value your opinion. So how do y'all feel about that? Or even Matt Ryan getting hired for the organization like that?
Go first, X.
I honestly don't think it's a match. I feel like he kind of put himself in the same predicament as he was in his last few years with Cleveland. Just as far as quarterback.
Yeah.
Just as far as the quarterback position. He has the skill position players. That defense is pretty good. I just feel like you kind of put yourself back in that same predicament with the quarterback situation with Michael Penix Jr. injury. Then you got Kirk Cousins. He's getting older. He's not a like a statue in the pocket. So I just feel like it's gonna be Cleveland 2.0 for Kevin Stefanski all over again.
I think it was necessary. Because I kind of think, especially when you have a new president, a GM slash president of football operations, they are more inclined to get veteran S type of coaches. So I definitely think he was the best available at that apparent time. Because obviously this is before like Sean McDermott. This is before all that's concerned. I look at it just for example. I think because I don't think you're gonna have. I don't think Michael Penix gonna be your week one starter. In my personal opinion.
Mm-mm.
So I think he has that familiarity with Kirk Cousins, obviously in them days in Minnesota. So I just figured I may not necessarily. I liked the move. I did like the move. Just the fact that at the time he was the only one that was really available that had that experience where most of those coaches have. So you gotta, that's where I look at it from that standpoint. So I was cool with it. I didn't mind it because it's this coaching cycle when it comes to coaches, it just lacks experience. And I think that's where, I guess this way looked at. But I still think Raheem Moore should have been their head coach. I think he still finished strong enough. He won the last four
Yeah.
games of the
And,
season and he tied he tied for the NFC South record. They just lost tiebreaker to Carolina.
and 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 if since they did move on from Raheem, I felt like you could have brought in Flores. I feel
Yeah.
like you could have brought in Flores, and Flores probably more than likely would have brought in a good
OC.
OC. But like I said, they just got to figure out their quarterback situation as far
Yeah.
as what not as the as far as this season. I'm pretty sure they're gonna go with Kurt until Penix gets back, and that's determining on how good Kirk Cousins plays. But as you're gonna have to think real long and hard if you're gonna give Michael Penix the extension,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you gonna go back in the draft and find a QB.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that there is a quote unquote an agreement baked in with the situation, unlike a Andrew Barry situation with him where they clash. Obviously, the Shador Sanders situation is pretty much why he's in Atlanta. I mean, obviously, Andrew Barry wanted Shador, he didn't want Shador. So it's kind of one of things where, like you said, him and Matt Ryan have to be on the same page because, like you said, this could be Cleveland all over again if they're not on the same page. Because at this point, this got to be something where we got to be connected at the hip, and I think that's going to be the main issue, the crux of I think this relationship is going to have to be based on we are in solidarity of who's going to be our next quarterback. Is like you said, the decision of extending Penix. That's got to be that's got to be a lock and stuff. This can't be a back and forth. And like we've seen it play in as kids say in 4K, where you've seen kind of the mixed emotions when they drafted Sanders. That's another thing too, where and that just go to show you like how drafting two quarterbacks in a 24-hour period. That just shows you that the coach and the GM just didn't have. They're not on the same page because you don't do that. Like you don't draft two quarterbacks in a 24-hour period. That's sacrilegious. That's just that makes zero sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people in certain positions that just don't know what they're doing, but I guess they'll get it in the long run because
It's a
Yeah.
lot of people. It's a lot of people in certain positions that don't know what they do.
don't
Yeah.
know what they're doing, bro.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and it shows, and then it's going to be interesting how when you see most of these teams are always in these different coaching carousel conversations we've had for the last 11 and a half years, they come across. It's a lot of teams that we talked about as far as the coaching change. And it's how it is. Like, yeah, you even say, I think the coach that have hired in the 2022 sequence, I think only two are still around. So you think about it, that was only 4 years ago, and then only two of those guys still available.
And what?
So it's
And,
just, mhm.
no, I was gonna say and another thing what I don't like about it is that I feel like Stefanski is gonna get scapegoated at some point. If
Essentially,
if yeah, if he doesn't see success, he's gonna get scapegoated. And like I said, you already kind of not handy. Well, yeah, you kind of handicapped him with the quarterback situation.
yeah,
So
yeah. And the beauty thing is he does have weapons on his team compared to like Cleveland. So I think that's another thing that's could be a saving grace where you do have that talent. And like you said, the quarterback is going to be the biggest issue. Like you said, if Kevin Stefanski had to pick of the litter, I don't think necessarily think this would have been his number one choice. I mean, there's still some other teams that I think would have been more viable, but it's just one of those. I think, in my personal opinion, um, this Atlanta team does have the cupboard isn't full. I mean, the cupboard isn't empty. So I think it's kind of one of the things where you know, I look at it from that standpoint of, yeah, the quarterback issue is definitely going to be something that will cause some concern because especially with Penn, even if he comes back, you got to think about it. He's in his late, he's had all these, ACL injuries and knee injuries. It's going to be something where, it's you're not going to expect him to be your long term future in the next 10 years. Like you don't look, how most quarterbacks you look at are in their late 20s. Oh yeah, he'll be around, in his late 30s. No, not in this
that man being held together by gorilla glue and duct tape. It
red,
ain't, it ain't,
red,
it ain't but so much he can do, and he's gonna be able to
right.
do it in the future.
And that's the issue. That's the issue I think going forward with that. And like you said, that's going to be the biggest question. And like you said, that's going to be the issue how this all going to play out. Where if they make that wrong move, and the like you said, Ryan, throwing for sure. I mean, it's not inevitable, but it's a good possibility, especially if it doesn't work.
Yeah. If I'm the Falcons going into this draft, I do not draft a quarterback. I play out what I got with Cousins and then potentially Penix Jr. coming back. And if I don't see success from either one, the next draft is when I'm going in looking for my QB.
Yeah, and I think he'll have success with Kirk because he's had that success with him in Minnesota. So I definitely think it's yet again it's going to be a band-aid. It's so he's that band-aid slash bridge. So I think that's going to be the issue going forward with that. It's like how do you move on from Kirk Cousins? Because to me, I don't even look at Michael Penix as an option from a long-term perspective. Granted, it's funny he was insurance policy, but I feel like the insurance policy was written in toilet paper at this point. And you can
Yeah,
it's tricky. It's tricky. But that's the cost of doing business in this league
yeah.
where so I still think it's a good move today, ever since this hire, but it's really going to be interesting to see because I definitely think the Cleveland situation, like you've seen people just thrive after Cleveland, and I think it'll be another one too. And then you got to think to yourself because I know people was killing me when I was like, oh well, he 2-time coach a year. Well, it don't mean nothing. It
It
means
really
double
does.
in Cleveland. You don't
Yeah.
you don't go to Pittsburgh and beat them in a playoff game. No team in Cleveland Brown history could ever do that. That never happens. He did well, even though he wasn't there. He was out. But I mean, that team was still. that team was still comprised of his players.
I
But great,
remember that game, but damn, I'm right here, man. Just
I know
Yeah,
what I'm saying, but
yeah,
so
because
I'm like
that was a lopsided game from start to finish.
from the jump, right? Even though he didn't coach that game, but you still think to yourself he got into that game because obviously he had COVID. But in the same token, he turns clean like we talked about it. This man put Joe Flacco on a plane a week before Christmas, a week before Thanksgiving, and them fools made it to the playoffs. Like that's like people don't understand. Like that's a big deal. You don't just grab a quarterback right before Thanksgiving and voila, we make a playoff run. Well, we make a run into the playoffs. That rarely happens.
and and truth be told, I feel like this year he didn't have as many weapons from an offense standpoint that he
Right.
had. He really did. He had Chubb. He had some weapons. It's just there was always somewhat quarterback issues. Like even Baker. What was it? His last year, he
Yeah,
was hurt. He was playing hurt.
playing hurt, and yep.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm being real. It's like even all the stuff with Shador that we were talking about, I felt like it really wasn't him. It was some other people. I really did. I've always felt like it ain't his fault. It's some other stuff going on.
Yeah,
That's how I
right.
felt.
Because to me, I feel like he got pigeonholed with all the situation. Because obviously, with the with the situation with Baker, because what they end up doing, going head over heels, trade everything, because which is rightfully so.
Right.
A 26-year-old quarterback like how Deshaun Watson was does not fall out the sky. So you're willing to give up the moon and stars because you see the production that he had in Houston, and you think that's going to translate to here because hey,
Yeah.
we won a playoff game. We made it to a division round. Hell,
Right.
if we have Deshaun Watson in the fold, we can go to the AFC Championship game. Hell, we can go to the Super Bowl. So I get that, but it didn't work out yet again. Where
Yeah.
it lies the problem. Where I think if everything come into play, like it'll be a different story. So you're hoping that that's not the case in Atlanta, where if you have a Matt Ryan and you guys are together on these same issues, I guarantee you're not always going to be locked up, but you damn near need to be connected at the hip at this point,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you want both of these guys to essentially be successful in their roles. They literally have to be connected at the hip. So that's
Right.
going to be the biggest thing. But the other coaching candidates, I thought was something that was kind of a little interesting. I definitely think that the Jeff Hafley move to Miami was different. But I guess to me it looked like more of a course correction because obviously you went from that offensive guru and Mike McDaniels, which I think he's going to do a fantastic job in LA. Which I definitely think he'll be back in the coach circle. Maybe not next year, but maybe in 2028. So I think that was their way of trying to having a team that's going to be physical, a team that's going to, not the finesse and kind of what a prisoners run asylum with Mike McDaniels. So I definitely think that's like a course correction. And I just found it interesting, obviously, with him obviously being the former Green Bay defensive coordinator now as head coach. It's funny because in theory, I thought he took because he was a Boston College head coach, and I figured because I know they were saying as far as the whole balance in college, that's why he kind of took the job in the NFL because of kind of just the rigors of being a head coach in college. So I found it kind of interesting, even though it probably is a little bit different than being a college head coach. But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see how he found out too. I definitely think Clint Kubiak is by far I think that one of the best candidates that's going to get it. So I'm assuming probably more than likely he'll probably get that Raiders job. Obviously, I definitely want to see how he will be. They want to announce that after the Super Bowl, but more likely he'll be their head coach. And hopefully he'll obviously with them probably drafting Fernando Mendoza, how that marriage gonna work out. So I'm really curious how
Yeah.
that. So what we do, we'll transition. We'll do a little Sanders talk. So let's talk about Deion Sanders in Colorado Buffalo. So very interesting the other day. Deion Sanders, it was posted that he is going to find some of the players. He has enlisted a fine system for his players at Colorado. So if you are late to a meeting, you'll be fined $400. If you are late to practice, you'll be fined $500. If you're late to a workout, that's going to cost you $1,000. All right. 1,500 a no show to a workout. Give me 1 second. Get okay. Yeah, okay. Good. All right. So 1,500 for a no show workout. 1,500 if you do not a no show for treatment. No show to a meeting, $2,000. You don't come to practice, no show, $2,500. Violation of team rules, $1,000 to $2,500. Public or social media misconduct will cost you in the neighborhood of $2,000 to $5,000. And also, if you come to Colorado, you cannot wear apparel of your formal team. So if you went to the University of Alabama, not go around Boulder, Colorado wearing an Alabama quarterback or a long t-shirt or some shorts or any type of paraphernalia. So what's your thoughts on Deion Sanders and his implementing of the fine? What you think? What you got?
For me?
Yeah.
I mean, I think, okay, two things. First of all, that's exactly what you're supposed to do because they're getting paid. And you got to start taking it serious because you're trying to go to another level. And it just seemed like the NFL is way different than the NBA. And I just think that you got to take accountability. And that's really what it's doing. Like, you got to take accountability. If you're going to college to play sports, right? You have to dedicate yourself to that, and he's trying to show him that dedication. The other thing is, I think he's also telling you in some type of way he needed to change this because he might be trying to explain like why things aren't. He hasn't been as much a success as he wanted it to be because he's not. You know what I mean? Like it's some stuff when you watch Colorado play, you'd be like, man, they just don't look with too many. Like it's just crazy penalties. It's a lot of little things just don't seem like they're focused like they should. You know what I mean? So I'm with it. I understand. If I was going to school, I wouldn't be tripping because I know what I'm supposed to be dedicated doing. I think it's great. I think if you're trying to be a professional, this is the way to show to be professional. So when you go to the next level, you know exactly what you're supposed to do. A lot of players that already are those God gifted special players, they already do things like this, so they most likely not going to get fined. You know what I mean? Because they take this certain things like this seriously. So hands down, I think it's great. I know I watched a couple of guys' podcasts speak on it, and there still was some of the guys was like, man, there was some dudes that they was getting fined like this and blah blah blah, but they spent a lot of money, 300,000, 250,000, and they still was late. You know what I mean? But I think this is great.
All right. What you got, X? Oh, I can't hear you. Then you muted.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I'm saying I'm all for it. It teaches them how to be professionals. It teaches them that other people's time is just as important as yours. It teaches them to be it teaches them responsibility, accountability, and how to go about your business of being a future pro athlete, pro football
Mm-hmm.
player. So, and going back to what Maui was saying, when you watch Colorado. You saw some of the inconsistencies. You saw some of the boneheaded mistakes, penalties, and it didn't look like uh Coach Prime team. It looked like they were just out there doing their own thing. It's like they were more caught up in like the glitz and glamour of being at Colorado than actually like being on the field. It's like they like all the outside noise and everything that comes with being in
Mm-hmm.
Colorado, with celebs, being at the games, being at your practices, coming to your meetings, giving you pre-game speeches, post-game speeches, and stuff like that. Um, I think it's time. I think it's time for Colorado to get back to the basics, and hopefully with Coach Prime setting the standard with these fines and everything that they can get back to the standard is the standard, which is football at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I think the dollar amount of the fines is where I have an issue with because this isn't a situation where where everybody is making millions of dollars or making thousands of dollars. Remember, this is an NIL world where not everybody's going to make money off their name, image, and likeness. So if you're just like a kid that's not making next to nothing and you getting fined, $400 because you're 2 minutes late, it's kind of one of those things where it's like now why is it implemented in the pros because everybody has some money because even if you are third or fourth string, you're still bringing in maybe $800,000 annually. So I mean, probably you think without tax, maybe you would think most guys at least, even at the base level, at the small level, is bringing in at least $500,000. So I get the whole Dion situation with finding the guys, but some of these guys who are on this team I don't think gonna have the money to afford those type of fines. So it's like, then how are you gonna enforce it? And that's the thing where where do you take it out of? Do you take it out of the NIL fund? I mean, because you think about college kids, and I've heard the excuse, not excuse, but I've heard like people saying, well, people, you get parking fines, but parking fines are only $50 or $60 some dollars, and that's a hardship for most. And I get where he's coming from, but I just think the fines are just too egregious, and how you're going to enforce them is going to be my biggest issue because it's just like, okay, and like that's my biggest thing. Okay, no show to practice, yes, but $2,500,
I
like,
feel.
what?
I was gonna say I feel like the the fine like the dollar amount of the fines are so high is because I don't know for sure, but I feel like it's the players that's making the top money that's probably committing these infractions.
I agree, but the thing is, you're gonna set a precedent because what if it's a guy that not making no NIL money and he's doing the same thing that the person who's making $2 or $3 million off the bet. So you gonna still treat that same person that cannot even give you $2,500, that probably don't even have $2,500 laying around. So it's kind of one of the things where I just find it odd of him creating this system because, like you said, I think it's just one of those things where people have gotten away with a lot. So that's why I think it's so egregious that it's got to a point where the message is like, hey, you're going to be paying with your wallet, not just, and because to me, I think, hey, if you late to practice, guess what? You run a mile, or you do this, you do something physical, you do something, or you miss a game or whatever, you miss a quarter, or something like that. Where how it used to be, where hey, I'm not gonna do suicides. I'm gonna make sure that I'm not gonna miss practice if I gotta do 10 suicides, and so it's just one of the things where I figured the enforcement should be on that
Right.
on that type of level. because there's a simple fact of everybody just doesn't have that form of money. Yes, if you late to a team meet, okay, $50 or $100, but like you said, but now you got to a point. Even if you're like, this is no example, but we're just gonna just more so from a dollar perspective. So like if you were that guy that was making Travis Hunter type of money, granted, and you did this type of stuff, even this stuff is still a drop in the bucket for him. But what about that third string defensive back that may just got a local deal in Boulder? He's not going to be able to pay for that. He's not going to be able to cough up $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever the fine is. That's where I'm like, it's going to be, because now if it was an even playing field like how it is in the pros, where yes, it's different levels of money, but everybody's getting paid. Not everybody in Colorado is going to get money.
Right.
So that's my hang up. That's my hang up with it, because it's never going to be fair. Because yes, you can find a guy that makes money like Travis Hunter, but then you can't, the offensive lineman, the freshman that's making nothing because he had some NIL deals.
I'm with you, right, Coach. You right. But I feel like Dion is smart to see the characteristics of how the young players are right now. You remember beginning of the season, we started seeing a lot of dudes. Wasn't they like spitting in people's faces or something like that? Did something weird like that happen in the beginning of the season?
I mean, you had some instances,
and everybody was like, why are they spitting? I just feel like, these generation of young men are different and not realizing you got to learn to be professional or they gonna hit your pockets. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong. I think when they made these fines, they were smart enough to say, hey, not everybody got this money. I'm sure it's going to, because I think somebody said they don't even think it's legal for him to do that because they don't have a players union.
Yeah,
right.
So right, and how you gonna collect it?
How you gonna come up? Right.
Right, like, do you take it out of their NIL fund? Like,
right.
And
But I think Dion also, I think he be capping and trolling sometimes. Like it's an idea. He has great ideas, and it is a great idea. And you're right. Like, and I would think that too. Like, not everybody is making the money as they can, but they still, once you get to that level, man, you got to learn to be professional. You know what I mean? And it is football players, and they be wild. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you can prepare them all they want, but just like anything, if you have your socks on wrong, you can get $5,000. And most people that are wise, or even okay, if I get fined that one time for $5,000, I'm never gonna put on my sock that way. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, like, so it's kind of one of the things where, like you said, it gets to a point where it's like, all right, if you are on this list and you're just doing stuff habitually, you're not gonna get it. Like, granted, yes, you want to prepare somebody, but like we said, let me go somewhere and they say, okay, you got your uniform on wrong. You need to tuck your jersey, but we'll give you $5,000-$6,000. You will never see my jersey untucked ever.
Right.
Because once you lose that $6,000 initially,
right.
I'm gonna learn my lesson.
Right. Hey, he is fining them for wearing another college's or a school's. That's crazy. That's wild. I mean, I feel him.
I feel that part, because especially in the fact we're giving you stuff. It's not like you're a JUCO. It's not like you're a JUCO where you don't get. I mean, you get stuff, but you don't get. I mean, they get like swag bags. They get like a box full of clothes, like wherever they go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I get that part. Yeah, you're not a JUCO.
It's hilarious. Why would you even wear that? Why would you wear that stuff when you there? That's crazy.
But that goes to show you this is a different day and age and time, because
that's why
to me that's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like, and you're going to a school that's going to provide you with everything that you want. You can literally have a wardrobe full of Colorado gear. They will give that to you. It's not something that you got to pay for. I guarantee you, you can go on that step on that campus. You will have a box full of sweats, shirts, slides,
Right.
hats, everything. You
Right.
can literally have a wardrobe based on that.
Right.
But for you to come to the school and wearing a different one,
Right.
that's just disrespectful. Yeah, I agree with him.
Right.
Like that
So you
part
know
is
what? I don't know, but I know we got to move on. But that sounds like to me like I'm Reebok, and
yeah.
I signed you to a Reebok deal, and you put on like you're wearing Nike. Like
Yeah,
why?
just like
Why?
yeah.
Why are you doing?
Mhm.
Why are you doing that? You know?
Because then there's somebody I forgot who it was. Because remember, I think in the Olympics they had to take their
Yeah.
it was
Yeah. It
I
was.
forgot who it was because
It was Jordan.
Jordan. Yeah, because it was what
He wore the
Reebok.
flag. He wore the flag covering the Reebok on
Yeah,
his
that's right. Yeah, because Reebok was
on his
the
warm up
supplier.
jacket. Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what happens. In those type of situations, especially now that we have how the shoe companies are now in bed with with the team. So yeah, I mean, you
Right.
look at it from that standpoint, but yeah, I
No,
mean, yeah.
no, I was gonna use another example, like you used the Jordan one. If you pay
Yeah.
attention to some guys with the NBA being sponsored by Nike, if you pay attention to some players that's not Nike athletes on the actual NBA socks, the Nike logo is like at the top.
Mm,
They'll fold it down to cover the Nike emblem.
yikes. Yeah, because it's like that at this point. That's
Yeah.
that's unfortunate. So we talked about Coach Prime. We gotta talk about Shador Sanders. So Shador Sanders was named a Pro Bowl replacement. Now, imagine he replaces Drake May because Drake May is going to be playing the Super Bowl. So, pretty much how the Pro Bowl is determined is pretty much 1/3 based off fans, 1/3 off of players, and 1/3 off of coaches. But it's a point where essentially a lot of guys have backed out. Obviously, I think it's going to be Shador, Josh Allen, and Joe. No, Joe Burrow not no. But anyway, a lot of guys have pretty much had said no. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence, Aaron Rodgers. We know Bo Nix got the injury. Lamar, Joe Burrow. So a lot of people pretty much said no, and he was pretty much the alternate. And of course, it has the internet in a tizzy. What do you guys thoughts on Shador Sanders making the Pro Bowl and being a part of the Pro Bowl game this week? I'm gonna go with you first, Mal. What you got?
Um. It's Shador, man. It's like the biggest story this season. They kind of calmed down, and then they had to like restart it. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean. But like you said, the bottom line is a lot of when it comes to these all-star things, Pro Bowls or whatever. A lot of players, they turning it down now. You know what I mean? I guess they want their rest. You know what I mean? But I don't have much. I mean, the bottom. Let's just be real. Like it's Shador Sanders, so it might be more people watching the Pro Bowl than it usually is because of Shador Sanders. He brings just another demographic of people that probably wouldn't even that probably don't wouldn't even want to watch it. I mean, especially because he's also with this vlog generation. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause a lot of those, they might not even watch football like NFL like that, but they've been attached to Shador for a while, and so I think that's the main reason why like a lot of people gonna watch it. They usually don't watch the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. What you got, X?
I feel like the Pro Bowl ratings have been taking hits over the last few years.
Right.
I'm not gonna call it a PR stunt, but I feel like they know Shador is no pun intended, prime time.
Mm,
Like,
mm,
regardless if you love the kid or you
mm,
dislike the kid, he draws eyes
mm, mm.
on every game that he plays. Um, I I'm guilty of it. I caught myself a few times watching a few Cleveland games just to see How is he gonna play? How is he gonna do? Um, but like I said, I'm not calling it a PR stunt, but I feel like the NFL knows that their ratings are down, especially when it comes to the Pro Bowl, and so they're just trying to do anything in their power to um get eyes on the product. Um, I'm I'm not taking nothing away from Shador. He had a decent rookie season as for what he started the last seven, eight,
7 games.
7 games.
Yeah, last 7 games. Because
What he went?
he had
So,
came in one game and then he started the final 7 games of the season.
okay. So when he went, what, 2-5,
Three and four.
with three
Three
and four? Okay, 3 and 4. So he passed for 1,400 yards, had 7 touchdowns, 10
and
ints. I mean, and then you had guys like Lamar was on the shelf due to injury.
yeah,
Patrick Mahomes due to injury. Then you had players that actually turned down invitations to the Pro Bowl. So in the AFC, who else were you gonna go to
yeah,
outside of Shador? And we got to remember, at one year,
Bill,
Tyler Tyler Huntley
yeah,
Hmm.
made the Pro Bowl back
yeah,
as yeah. So
Trubisky.
yeah,
yeah, and so I mean, it's nothing new. I think it's just catching head waving headlines because of Shador. Anything with Shador's name on it is gonna draw a lot of eyes, a lot of criticism, and a lot of praise. So
yeah,
like I said, that regardless if you like the kid or not, if you think he can play or you think he can't play,
You're gonna
he's
talk about
prime.
him.
You're gonna talk about him. He's prime time. Like I said,
yeah,
no pun intended, but he's prime time.
yeah. Like and the thing about it is and I don't want the internet aunties to come at me, but but in all seriousness, it's just one of those things where it was just the luck of the draw where no one wanted to be a part of it. And the Pro Bowl it's just not what it used to be because now it's Pro Bowl games. They don't actually play the actual game like how it used to be. It's a
Mhm.
watered down product. It's a product that it used to be a prestige to go to the Pro Bowl because obviously I think the Hawaii, them going to
Mhm.
Hawaii back in those days, it was prestigious where that was something that's important. I'm almost to a point where I think we should just get rid of Pro Bowl in itself. I've always have said that because at this point, I think you should be named a Pro Bowl and you just don't play the game. Almost like if you ever played Madden, like where okay you made the Pro Bowl but you don't play the Pro Bowl game. Like you'll
Mhm.
see the roster, and I think that's what it should be because it's literally a waste. Because at this point, there's really no draw to it because
Mhm.
I don't. I mean, it'd be cool to see Shador play, but I mean.
He's not. He's playing flag football.
Playing football, and then they're gonna be jumping into some little contraption that looks like something that you'll be at like jump that. But what's the little jump places that the people be going to, and they jump on a
Sky
little
Zone.
bone? Yeah, Sky Zone. All it is. Watch the game on Tuesday night, and you're gonna just be like, damn, am I like damn? These kids should get tokens for jumping in this little contraption. Like, what do you get? Like a PS5, and you got 8 million tickets. Like it's a joke. It's literally a joke now. Like it's to
Man.
a point
It,
where it it's embarrassing. I like
it's
Just where
kind
it's
of
at
like
right now.
it's kind of like the NBA All Star Game where they're just trying to
yeah,
find ways to make it more appealing and get viewership. Because, like I said, the Pro Bowl has lost its luster. The NBA All Star Game has lost its luster. The only, in my opinion, the only All Star game that really where you see teams go at it because it's something on the line is the Major League Baseball because the winner
home field.
of that gets home field advantage in the World Series.
Yeah,
You you gotta give these guys something to play for, and a
but
lot of these guys are making crazy amounts of money. So money isn't gonna like
Yeah, I
Give
get.
them you.
I
You got to offer something else.
but that's the thing, and that's what I don't like about this situation, especially in the NBA perspective. I mean, this guy's about to make $70 million. Why in the hell should I give you another couple $1 million to play a game on a Sunday? Like, think about it.
You got
In
to
the
give them.
NFL,
You got to give them
huh?
more incentives. I feel like you got to give them
I,
more. It,
but yeah,
I
these
feel
guys about to make they're about to make $70 million. Like
it,
that should be enough.
if any, yeah, but
It's greed. It's just,
if anything,
yeah,
I I think is the players now like want
I'm
their
greedy.
like they want
Yeah,
their
they're entitled.
rest. Yeah, they want the rest. They want they want their time off. I feel like if I don't know how you can do it, but I feel like if you can kind of set the All-Star game up incentive wise, like Major
But
League Baseball, but then if you do that, you're taking away from the team that had the best record remaining, making it to the finals of having home court
something.
advantage.
But even with that though, right? Even LeBron James and they implement this thing where you literally get a week off. Like even if you play the NBA All-Star game, you don't have to go back to your team until Wednesday. You got 3 days. And
Back in
then
the
it's like,
day,
yeah, you back in the day, you would play Sunday, you go to play Monday, you going to practice on Tuesday.
yeah.
And that's the thing where it's like, I mean, these guys are making $70 million. What more do you want? And that's the thing that's what kills me because I'm just like, the incentive is you making $70 million. You just got a TV deal for 11 for billions of dollars. Like you're like,
And the fans know that, and
exactly
that's why your viewership is down.
right.
So, like I
It's
said,
just
And why
go
would
ahead.
if they can just take a page out of Major League Baseball's playbook, and like I said, you got to find your own unique way to
yeah.
All right.
incentivize the guys of the winning team because like you said, Coach, money isn't isn't their end all be all because you got guys making 70 million a year.
Right.
In the NFL, guys don't want to get hurt. You got some of them already complaining about a 17 game schedule.
Right.
But you agree
Newsflash,
though, see, and that's what
it's about to be an 18 because it's not going to stay an odd number. It's going to be 18.
and I agree with you, and I hate to cut you off, but you bargained for this, and I hate this whole thing of trying to fight for them because they don't fight for them damn selves. You worried about marijuana testing, but then you letting this 17 game stuff slide. That's on y'all. Y'all the ones who are collectively agreeing to playing 17 games. I can't fight for you no more. When you do yet again, when they do this 18 game season, don't get on us. We tell you, and then this whole thing, and then they like, oh well, we don't worry about healthcare. And then you wondering why you 36 years old and your healthcare ends when you're 41. You bargained for that. Grant you in your 20s and you don't think that far, but you voted for this.
See the
I
M-
I can't defend you when you are doing this. And like you said,
the NBA has lifetime
right. And that's what they should
insurance.
be fighting for. But they're worrying about not getting tested for marijuana.
That see that's
But
unnecessary stuff. Like you can
right,
get. I feel like the NFL should try to when it comes to it's two things they need: lifetime benefits as far as insurance, health insurance, and they
sure,
need guaranteed contracts.
right,
The two things that they should fight for, they won't fight for because in order to fight for it, you know you're gonna have to sit out. You're gonna have
right,
to strike. And that's why the MLB was able to get guaranteed contracts
right.
because they set out, they strike, they went on strike. They missed a whole World Series. They missed the whole season, including the World Series.
Yeah.
But it, they may have suffered a couple years after the strike, but
Yeah,
you got to
but
look at the long term goal is 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 what's on the horizon for you. Man, you
and I
got
think
guys you got guys now that's making in MLB what Shohei is making 70 million, but he's deferring 68 a
yeah,
year
yeah.
after he retires. So he like
He set for life, and I agree with you on that one because I think the issue, like you said, when that 18 game season, that's when you bargain for stuff like that because they want to do something extra for you. You have to do that, and that's where they have to have a fight. And it's sad because they tell you in these meetings years and years before, like, hey, save your money because we might go into labor. But of course, but the thing about it is NFL know what they're doing. They know that guys in their 30s that say, hey, they know that 50's gonna be here before you know it. But when you got them 20-something, 22-year-old kids, they're not thinking past that. They just know, hey, I'm making this money. I want the money to continue to flow. Not knowing that in your 40s, you're gonna have to pay your own health care and you're gonna be the most sick in your lifetime. When you're in your 40s and your 50s and 60s and you played this game and you having lingering injuries, and you have to get a hip replacement, that's coming on your dime. So it's just like, and all this type of stuff that ailments from the game that's going to affect you in your 40s and 50s and you're not insured by the NFL because they don't. That's the thing where they get that. That's where guys, and I understand because we all have been in our 20s and even in my 20s, I thought I was invincible. But just imagine if I had, $50 million, you couldn't tell me nothing. You think I'd be worrying
Right.
about
Well,
getting a hip replacement in my 50s and so yeah.
most people that's getting money like that, they always think that money is not going to stop. So,
Right.
majority of them, like that's what they think. Like, remember talking to this dude, he was breaking things down with Mike Tyson. He said, "Think about it, man. You're getting $75,000 a day. You never think, you know what I'm saying? After a while, you never think that's going to stop." And like some of these athletes now, man, like they, in some type of way, stuff has been given to them since they was probably in middle school. You know what I
Right.
mean? So they're not thinking. And then the other thing is, that's why, like, when you really piggyback on the thing that we were talking about with Deion Sanders, I think that's a part of it where it's like, man, you really got to start thinking, being professional. You got to think ahead. You know what I mean? Because there's more to it than what you're just doing right now. You got to take this seriously, but in the end, you want to be okay in your 40s. And when you go to those bargain things, it is about your career. You know what I mean? And that's the one thing they were worried about is, I don't want to be getting in trouble because I smoke weed. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's both major sports that has African Americans, is the NBA and the NFL. But you just have to understand, man. Think you're right. If we had the bread, we still weren't thinking that way. But they don't think that lifestyle or that money is going to stop.
Right. And I think that's what I wouldn't say it's not smart, but it's just one of those things where the NFL knows they got those guys at the palm of their hand because, like you said, once that 18 game season, I guarantee you nothing is not gonna be a fight. I mean, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it might come into the 11th hour, but then those guys gonna be like, "Oh, I need this check. I need this check.
That's what
I
they
need
do.
this check." Right." And versus when they're told, "Hey, save your money because we
Mm-hmm.
don't
might
make
go into labor." Right. And
don't make
then
any big purchases.
exactly. And what do? They buy a Lambo
Yeah.
or a
Yeah.
Hellcat or a Scat Back or whatever it is,
Right.
or
hmm
or order from the catalog that is Instagram.
And it's funny, we talking athletes. I was watching something Jason Weaver was talking about, and he said the same thing with him. Like Almost all his money was gone. He couldn't really get roles, so he said eventually he ended up going to culinary school, and that helped him until he was able to get some more roles. Like you just, once you're on top, you don't think that. You think that stuff is going to constantly keep
Right.
going and keep going and keep going, and
Right.
that's just not reality. It's going to be a slow time.
Yeah, and you can go to any NFL symposium and they can tell you blue in their face, but until that you experience that, you're not gonna pay attention.
Yeah.
We have these symposiums every year, and they tell you all this type of stuff, and they know that this is gonna happen, but they have this sense of invincibility, where it's just like
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna happen to me. And
Mm-hmm.
it does. So it's just one of the things where it's just that's just the way of the world, unfortunately, in this sports collective. So we'll round out tonight's show. We'll do game ball. Who get this week's game ball? Who you got, X?
I'm gonna have to give it to I think I gave it to him before, but I'm gonna give it to him again. The Detroit Pistons, still one of the hottest teams in
Yeah.
in the NBA. Um, they just beat Denver the other night. So yeah, I'm gonna give game ball to the Detroit Pistons.
You got Mouse.
What I tell you, X? Didn't I tell you? Yeah, that's why you laughed. I told you, Coach. I'm gonna do my. I haven't been on in a minute. I'm gonna do mine a little different. My game ball is just a game ball of strength to my buddy Idris Cherry, and to my brother Michael Cripps. They both lost their mom. So I want to give them the game ball of strength. And then also want to give it to my little somewhat nephew Junior. Over Christmas, he lost his daughter. I mean his baby anyway. So I just want to send it to them, send them some love, and give them the game ball.
Yeah. So actually, I know you talked about an NBA team as far as on their winning trajectory. I hear on Couch Coach Live we champion when teams give back to their fans. Another one, we talked about the Atlanta Falcons, their prices. We talked about the Utah. I forgot the Utah. At the time they would call it Utah Hockey Club. I don't know. I forgot what their name is now. We talked about the Baltimore Ravens and their fan favorite menu. Let's talk about the Phoenix Suns. Man, they got a $2 menu. So for $2 each, you get either a choice of a beef or bean taco, an ice cream sandwich, a hot dog, a 16-ounce Dasani water, a 16-ounce fountain soda, chips,
Wow.
and popcorn. So you come up at $20. Man, you can feed a family with $20 on $2 deals. So
Okay.
definitely
That's what's up.
Yeah, man. Definitely
That's what's
shout out
up.
to you. Yeah, man. And it's a common. That's perfect.
Man,
Especially if
man.
you got a family. Man, $20, you can feed your family for $20.
Word.
Yeah, because you're
No,
already paying an arm and a leg for the tickets to the game.
correct. So
So
why
Right.
not get me a $2 ice cream sandwich?
Word.
Right. All right. So we all about saving money. All about saving money. Right.
But hey, remember when you went to the Falcons game and you was telling us how much? What was it like? Chicken tenders and
I got a grilled chicken sandwich, French fries, and a refillable soda for about $8 or something like that. I think no, it was like $10. I think.
yeah, you can't
When you
beat
go
refillable
to
that.
drink.
Northwest and you get mediocre chicken tenders for $17. Nah, you don't want that. I'm serious. Like yeah, man. Yeah. So we'll round out tonight's show. Just final thought. Anything upcoming? What you got going on? What you got? What you got? X? What you got?
I can't really think of anything I got coming up. I do want to say I was in the house last week to witness North Carolina's stunning comeback over
Yeah.
the Virginia Cavaliers.
Yes, sir.
Um, but other than that, Instagram is GameOnMedia_X. Twitter/X is X_J_SR.
Yeah, which got out.
Man, great to be back. Great to see you fellas. It's been a minute. You know me, man, working. I'll be here next week. Hopefully, if there's nothing crazy going with this weather. But Deshaun Morgan, Facebook, DT Morgan 78, Instagram. Man, I'm still here, Coach. What?
Yeah, man. Follow the show, Facebook, Instagram, on the Couch Coach Live. I don't know, man. Jack Frost been messing up my schedule this week. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully next weekend, Super Bowl week, go back to the district. Georgetown, Villanova, hopefully, and that's the only thing I got on the docket. That's next week. Pretty much everything this weekend has been canceled except for one thing. I mean, a few things got canceled for Saturday, so chilling. So when I always say when it snows, you get your rest.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd rather let Jack Frost slow me down than anything else. So yeah, we'll be back at it next week, chopping it up, and we'll be back. Hopefully, no winter storm in the Mid Atlantic next weekend.
I hope not.
Hopefully, yeah, I'm ready for spring already. I sure hope Groundhog Day.
Who you telling?
We get 6 more weeks of spring because this ain't it.
I am over this. Over this.
I don't know, man. I don't know if this Jack Frost. This might be Rob Winkle or something like that. Whatever, man. This ice is different, bro.
Yeah, this is diabolical.
Yeah,
I'm okay now. I just double up on Claritin when the pollen gets thick. At this point, if I complain about the summer, I need to remind myself of January 2026.
Oh
Because
yeah.
it's been atrociously cold for the last week.
Hey, I got to drive around and stuff. This stuff is wild, man. I ain't never seen anything like this before.
Nah.
But
It's a trip, man. It's a beast out here. No. But yeah, hopefully warmer temperatures next week, and and a trip up north is in my future, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So just wrap up this week's Couch Coach Live. We'll be back next week, so we'll get you ready for Super Bowl 60 for the Seahawks and the New England Patriots, man. We'll catch you guys next week, and we're out.
welcome.
Peace.